entering into the world where you all exist, whether by fate, destination, or simple ritual. You now stand at a threshold where you once did not expect to be. At the very strange scenario that happened in town, you all came across each other. Afterwards, some strange weather pattern happened. As you all wandered about, a few of you realized what this was. A chaotic storm that brought only destruction. And the way to stop this from happening to you was to run. But as your team wanted to help out, or at the very least keep anyone else from dying if they did not have to, your team set out to help out the strange father of the said temple. With your help and the help of your own faith, or at least the help of your own strength, you managed to get out without too much injury. The only one that really got injured was quickly healed. So thankfully enough, that did not become a concern. However, these strange abominations do in fact pose a threat. You were able to get rid of them, but you also took some time and very amount of damage. After all said and done, the light sky finally shone, and the storm passed away, but never truly entered, as this was only a small fraction of what laid in wait for the true destination that storm collides with. With more information needed, Quinn had asked if you could look into an observatory he would show you. Maybe to help out, to save as many as possible. Maybe not to save the world, but save as many as you can. Whether that'll help you or not in your own ordeals, in your own situations, more secrets learned are definitely more directions you can take. So with this set in mind, Quinn gave you a map, at least from point A to point B, and while you have yet to truly rest, things are currently underway. I believe last time a few of you decided to group up the dead hound creatures and set them ablaze.
Yeah, that seems right.
Yeah.
Okay. After a good portion of time, as you saw them burning away, you could tell that their mass burnt differently than what you would expect. The strange sinew on their strange body burnt away, however, it wasn't all flesh and bone. As the first few layers of meat came about, underneath you saw strange hollow points. Where there should be meat sinew, there was none. Whatever these things are, you definitely don't, probably, up to you, want to come across them again, as these things are clearly not natural, and if they are, pray you never find out where they truly come. Quinn then looks towards your team. Thank you again. Right now, we'll make sure that everyone is taken care of underneath. For at least the next 2 hours. I don't know if the winds will shift within that time. But there's plenty of food down there for at least 2 weeks. Provided we don't need that long. 2 hours is more than fair than 2 weeks. So what will you and yours do? We could use the help, but so can the rest of society.
It seems to me that the gods are pointing us towards assisting everyone. We have a lead. We have seen the destruction that these storms cause. I feel we are drawn to this.
Is the storm still here, or is it leaving?
The storm that came across the city that you're at, that basically broke apart from the main storm and then at this point withered away. The main force is still going strong at another direction.
Alright, I think we should go ahead and start heading to our new destination.
I would agree with that, my friend. I believe Esther in Palmless is our next point of interest.
It's only a day or two away. It shouldn't be that much of an issue, but with the storm just passing by, who knows how the weather and environment will be now.
Yes. It would be good to visit your inventor friend Esther and also to visit the weather center you spoke of, the Umlita Arca.
Yes,
You
thankfully
mentioned that was
enough.
also on this, right?
Yes, they're both in the same place.
Okay.
What time is it like right now? Wasn't it like nighttime when we were fighting those things, right? Or am I
Yes.
mistaken?
Currently, it's roughly around 9 p.m. Minus the whole clearly daytime in the map.
Yeah, so that's fine. I'm not really that worried about that. I mean, just saying like, just so they're saying that we should go now to the observatory, like we shouldn't rest. Like I think we were
No,
fine to go.
they're basically saying we could use the help if you decide to help, but maybe the world is a little bit more important than this town. You can rest here. He's not saying to go now. Go, never come back and turn around. It's just him wanting to know if he will expect more hands tomorrow.
I mean, yeah, I'll stick with you guys for now. You guys seem pretty interesting, and to be honest, my quest has been rather dull as of late, and a few years of distraction may be what I need.
Do you want to rest here or find someplace elsewhere?
Okay, if we're gonna rest, I feel like we can rest here, but like I'm okay to keep going. I guess if you guys want to, but it is nighttime, I guess. So I guess you might as well rest. I don't know.
I think it
I
would
would
make
say
sense to rest here and be nearby in case any more remnants of the storm attack in the night, and then head out when day breaks.
Then we will follow this.
Just tired, but yeah, I guess what he said.
Do you have a place that we can rest and be on guard at?
Yes, the second store to the church provides you with accommodations. Not anything fancy, but it will provide you a room, a bed, and a toiletry down the hall. The third floor is simply the bell tower. No need to go there.
It's like one gold piece for all of us, and just like stack it up and just hand it to the father and be like, thanks, and just like let's go get a place to rest.
Okay. Severus found Quinn's room and then popped back up.
I thought that was the room.
No. I'm going to tell you now, there are rooms, there is a map. I just didn't think to place one.
Well,
I mean,
we'll just
yeah, you can
get
use
there.
these rooms if you want. It's easier that way, I guess. Let's see, reveal area.
I meant that we would just do 3 out of mine and just make the being in the room that we're supposed to be in.
Yeah, that's fine. To make it easier, he also says you can also take the right and left dormitory rooms. There's not enough beds for all 4 of you, but if you don't mind sharing. I, of course, will be with the citizens underneath. Do take your time if you need so.
So who wishes to take first watch?
Yes. So I'll just meditate here in the corner. Somebody actually wants to bed, but I can just meditate here in the corner.
That's true. I can do the same.
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I forgot to change to your new token.
Refresh.
Oh,
That's all. I'd like to hear your story.
Nice.
there you go.
So we'll take second watch, I guess. I don't know. So I'll just roll rest first, because it'll only take 4 hours, and then we'll be fine for the rest of the night. So we'll be on second watch on. So
I can
somebody else
take
take first watch.
then.
Somebody else take first watch.
I could take first watch then.
Okay.
I'll take the last watch if it's needed.
Let's see if I have any spells that could help us out here. I don't think I do, so let's find out though.
Also, DM, when we are or overnight or whatever, when I'm no longer meditating, I'm gonna take some time and build that steel defender magically,
Okay.
just to let you know. So I'll put that out there then.
Yeah, I can't do anything. I just have my familiar posted up on top of like the church or whatever, just like watching over, like posted up on this building here, just like watching over us, like I guess in this like entrance here. So like my owl familiar just hanging out.
Okay. As you begin to observe and wander the area, your owl familiar does hover around this church guard. Thankfully enough, maybe your owl doesn't see anything, but we'll come across that road when it gets burnt down or stays in place. Tolwyn, go ahead and roll a perception check, as you did state you were the first one to take watch.
Cool. Good roll.
From what you can tell, the strange vaporous forms of the clouds themselves do hover in the sky still. They don't go too far away, but they do continue to go and press forwards, just at a slower pace. Thankfully enough, it's a pace still. So if the clouds do come back, you'll be more than alert. But thankfully enough, they are not wandering backwards. The strange creatures you saw before you defeated the ones that you defeated did not return after leaving wherever they decided to attack. You have yet to figure out where they hunted, but thankfully enough, they did not hunt you. After some time and some rest, a second watch is needed.
That's all.
Yeah.
We can stay up the rest of the time. We only need 4 hours of rest, so we're good.
Okay, then it seems one gets to sleep the entire night. Alright.
Yeah, you can sleep and get up whenever you want.
Go ahead and roll for me a perception check.
Which one? Both of us, or?
You're both watching, or keeping guard.
Yeah, I'm kind of. He's working a little bit, and I'm making sure I'm watching shit.
I'm gonna need help with that.
I'm getting my laptop. I get stupid mouse over here. Perception. I'm like an old laptop. There it is. No, I messed up. I rolled something else. Medicine, probably. Oh well. Hey, it rolled like the same thing. Pretty much. The cards never lie.
You do observe the area, and you can tell that your two companions are now asleep. Or one was asleep this entire time. It's really hard to keep the timeline straight. But, thankfully enough, no one else is hunting you down. Your owl is currently still keeping watch between the buildings, and they have yet to alert you. Cathal, with your time and your resources, you can tell that your surroundings are as safe as they're going to be. Talon is currently also keeping watch with you, which means there's enough slack-off time that you can tinker around.
Yeah, I'll watch
Oh,
it
that's
back.
just my favorite to do.
I mean, I'm guessing you asked me for, not for help, but like, to let you know if anything is going on, if you got a little carried away or busy. Building.
Yeah, but I'm playing it off as in yeah. I'm watching, and meanwhile I'm tinkering away. I look up very slightly every once in a while, but with a 5 perception, I don't think I'm doing very much.
I don't think Talon's ever seen stuff like that, so he'd be kind of interested as he's walking around patrolling.
After some time, Talon, your bird does more surveillance than you and yourself. Here's your owl, by the way.
What to say?
And after the night's watch done, thankfully enough, nothing happened. Well, one thing did happen, at the very least. One new companion was built.
Yay.
Everyone rises up or sleeps in. It's entirely up to you. However,
I make breakfast. I make breakfast for everybody.
okay. This place doesn't have like the best kitchen setup, but it's enough to make some eggs and mashed
I mean,
potatoes.
I'm a traveler, so as long as they have a place there's a fire, I can do it.
Yeah. In the background, you do see Quinn helping people leave the area site, and then you see him gather a group to head out to see and survey the city. Since no one was attacked and no thing came for you, you do believe the area is safe. So their numbers will, if anything stuck around, their numbers should beat it.
So I suggest we start leaving.
You
It
guys
appears
wanna
that
go
we've
there?
done some good here. We should do good somewhere else.
Yeah, we should leave before we outstay our welcome. I agree.
Okay, let us go then.
In the other room, you might have already unstayed your welcome, as there's a whole bunch of gears and gadgets that were just left in the room.
Oh, whoops. Oops.
Oh, I just needed a copy of the owl. Ignore the two of you. I'm just gonna get rid of one and keep the owl. Set up marching order however you will.
I'll be first.
Taylor, I'll stay right in the middle.
I'll stay right about there.
So about the same because I kept it.
Yeah, pretty close there. And then if I
Yeah.
can have the steel defender just in the back there.
You should be able to control it.
it.
No,
Hmm.
unless I'm not doing. Oh, whoops! Inside my whole screen.
For now, I'll just connect it to you rather than your character. Try now.
Yep, can do it now.
Now,
Can do it.
like 60 feet in front of us is
Cool.
that's my plan. Like, as it kind of just like flies in like a circle. They just like continue like circles in front of us, like, everywhere we go.
All right.
And make it there's nothing out of the ordinary.
As you advance further in, you can tell that the environment itself should not be snowing. This area is blanketed and covered with snow about 2 inches deep, and as your bird moves forward, it can tell that the winds begin to pick up there. As you advance forwards, snow will definitely fall more. So you need to watch out for anything that lies in wait, if anything lies there. However, as you begin to travel, it really dawns on all of you at one point or another. In the few hours that you had to get here, while the only things you truly know is that you really don't know anything about each other. The only time bond you have from that last city, well, there's two. You saved it, and you were new there.
We fought with each other a little bit. At least everyone's not a coward. That's my. No one ran away when face of danger. Everyone fought like bravely. So you can trust them at least to stand in a fight.
I, for one, am happy to have met you all. It seems fated. I left the druids to go out into the world and try to do some good. And well, not long after, stumbled across you, and we did some good. I believe that the gods have directed me to you to help you.
Hopefully they have you help me do what I need to do as well, not just help people.
And what is it that
What'd you say?
and what is it that you need to do? What
Well,
is this quest that has been so boring as of late?
Oh, nothing. Just looking for a item that used to belong to my family long ago. It's just a dusty old sword, really.
Ah, well, if you are looking for a dusty old sword, then dusty old sword we shall help you find, or at least I shall.
So maybe, I don't know. Maybe Tolwan's right. Maybe we were fated to meet. You're the first person who's ever to help me instead of tried to kill me. But I guess sometimes I could come off a little strong.
Well, he can certainly say that again. I
Well,
mean,
it like I kind of described like just like a sword, like my family crest, like it's like a has like a eagle, like or like a hawk, like looking like on the pommel, and like each side, like on like each side of like the pommel, like as it's like coming out, like the handguard, it's like two panthers, like it's very ornamental. Very sentimental to my family. Means a lot.
Well, who knows? Should the signs point us in that way, perhaps we will be able to find it.
If
What about
you see anything
you,
like that, you
Severus?
let me know.
Yeah, absolutely, my friend.
Don't touch it.
Before I have an opportunity to answer Tolwyn, I immediately stop and I draw my weapons into a guard position and I tell everyone, and gear
What's
up.
this about?
I tell everyone, gear up.
Why? What's wrong? My owl didn't send
There-
anything.
There is a fiend up ahead. I
In-
can smell the ash and their corrupted desire for blood.
Can you smell more than one?
You only sensed one. That doesn't mean there's not more waiting. You just only
Can we
sensed
all
one.
like stealth? Like, can we all like stealth immediately?
If there is
I know, I
more
say.
than one,
Okay,
then I
let's
cannot
be
tell at this distance.
Well, let's be stealthy and move like into the trees. And not move up on the walkway or the roadway or whatever. Let's not do that. No, 9. Who's super stealthy? I guess I'm pretty stealthy. Did I stealth? I think I took stealth. I don't remember if I took stealth.
18 for stealth.
Holy cow.
holy cow.
You all did pretty good.
We all great.
I said,
There we go.
Oh,
because we were forewarned.
Yeah. As you begin to crowd into stealth and try your best, moving forwards and perceiving what you could not perceive before, your senses did kick in. Cerberus. You then see a strange entity roam into clear view. They were hard to catch beforehand, but now you can definitely see them. rather than sense. The bird immediately caught on to this glimpse as soon as it approached, but before it even saw it, it could not sense it. So at one point or another, it was completely transparent in the snow. But as close as it is now, it does wander further down the road. It has been some hours, and you do know that it is not heading towards the city you just came from, or going to the city you just came from.
Do I recognize anything about it?
The strange entity is oozing strange shadow. The eyes itself are pitch blue, but the blue itself seems to contain no essence behind it. You can tell that the strange rammed horn-like being might be from the pit of hell itself. However, the strange shadowy sensation, the weird blue-eyed glow, that itself is not akin to hell, but the Shadowfell. There are two things here that you are picking out, but the two things are merged into one.
Question: Shouldn't the demon realm be suffering just as much as the heaven realm?
Yeah.
Am I even aware of the Shadowfell? Is the Shadowfell even a thing here?
You do know that there's a dark presence of magic and a light presence of magic. While the Shadowfell in itself doesn't exist, technically, it's the easiest way I can describe things.
Alright, just wanted to make sure, because there's some, important stuff about the Shadowfell that would have some ramifications.
You detected a fiend. I mean, if it's a fiend, it's evil, I guess, so we should probably kill it.
I give a nod towards Tolwyn, and I point, and I'll give him another nod again, trying to signal if we should go and attack.
Tay nods, like yes, gives the assent.
I would imagine Tolwyn has never seen anything remotely like this.
I will point at my holy symbol, which at this point you probably already know, and I'll point at this guy to represent that he's like the opposite of what I represent.
So Tolwyn will nod in understanding then, and prepare to attack.
All right.
I will rush forward, and I will start, hopefully, the surprise attack.
Unfortunately enough, you don't, but you do take first action. I want everyone to go ahead and roll a turn order.
I guess then we weren't able to get that surprise attack that I was hoping for.
You do get an action before anything else, though. Just not everyone else.
Then I guess I'm going to go ahead. Kind of wish I had Bane. I'm going to go ahead and just do a basic attack.
Okay.
Would you say that to start my blade song before we started this initiative roll?
You forgot to tell me, so I'm going to say
okay.
No. Kithal, you forgot to roll. Or you did and forgot to click on your token?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I forgot to click on. Oops, that's not me. There you go. Well, I rolled a 20, but here, I'll roll it again.
Roll it again, and I'll just adjust it. It's fine.
It's not a big deal. So if I click on my token and hit initiative, then we'll put it back, right?
Yes.
There. Did that one work?
Yes,
okay,
it did.
Cool.
And I'll just adjust the number. There we go.
Does 14 hit?
14 does not. You grab your blade and you sink it straight towards the enemy. However, as you look towards it, it's not acting as a strange demonic being would. It seemed to be digging into the ground, the snow, and everything else it can find. As you sink in, its movements, its patterns are not of a beast. You sink into the ground rather than its skin. You were close, but the strange movements caused you to fumble. And now that you're 5 feet away from it, it is now closer than you would like. Tolwyn, you're up first.
Tolwyn cast Moonbeam.
Okay.
So I don't think it takes damage. It doesn't take damage now. It takes damage on its turn when it starts in the Moonbeam.
But it does hold an effect against certain kinds of transformation, I believe, even immediately.
A shape changer makes a saving throw with disadvantage. If it fails, it also instantly reverts to its original form and can't assume a different form until it leaves the spell's light. So it's a 5-foot radius, 40-foot high cylinder. 5-foot radius. So it's a 10 by 10 and centered on a point. So I'll put it on this corner here so that it's just catching the demon creature without hitting Severus.
All right. Bringing it upon the creature, the strange entity, you do bind it into the moonbeam. Before it can take its turn, you do sink in. While you did not realize this creature is sort of a shape changer. Just in the different kind of regard you likely thought of. It will make it save as a disadvantage. Just help me keep that in mind in case I forget when it comes its turn.
Sounds good.
Anything else?
Nope. I'm gonna just sit here in the bushes.
Kaithal.
All right. I'm going to move up over this way. Let's see. Up here. And I would like to fire a shot at it. So,
All right. Firing your crossbow straight towards the enemy, you do sink straight towards its skin. As it sinks deep down, you can tell that it made no piercing motion. No strange gurgle, no strange sinew snapping. You do see an arrow sink into its flesh, and then sink in further till it's no longer seen. You did not do damage.
This is quite different. I'm gonna fire off that second crossbow attack to see if I can do anything there.
You sink another crossbow straight into its abdomen. However, much like before, no sinew snapping, no bones breaking. Just an arrow sinking into its skin until you see it no more.
Okay. I will have my Steel Defender move up next to me, and that will be the end of my turn for now.
Alright. At the start of its turn?
Yes. When a creature enters the spell area for this turn, or starts its turn, there must make a con saving throw. DC 14.
Alright.
Okay.
Its con is negative, so it's going to be interesting.
So it's a disadvantage with...
And an 18.
Oh, well, cool. Well, a 4. So it's 2d10 radiant damage. So it had already rolled the 10 before, so you can just use that if you want.
Sure. Binding into its flesh, bone to bone, moonbeam to sinew. You can tell that the moonbeam then takes effect before it can even direct its fury or any emotion toward you. The moonbeam sinks into its skin and burns away the sinew of flame and shadow. You then see half of its face then completely burns out from the shadow into what appears to be a tiefling. As they look towards you, you can tell that they're crying, but not in the same sense as if they're in pain, but one of sorrow. But as the moonbeam completely takes its full effect, after a while, the tiefling underneath then gets swallowed up by the darkness once more. They look towards Cerberus, the only individual that they can see right now, and this thing is currently mindless except for 2 directives. So it will not move away, so next turn it will face likely the same thing again. But it can also still attack. Reaching out its hands, it goes straight towards Cerberus. Does a 14 hit?
No.
Sinking its flesh straight towards you, you move to the side and it buries its hands into the snow. It then cups it as if in a shovel and then puts it to the side. It then looks towards the enemy, or at least the people attacking it, and registers where you're at now. Cerberus.
Alright, so another hit. Let's do this. Hopefully this time it works. God damn it, does a 15 hit?
A 15 just barely hits.
Thank goodness. I'll go ahead and deliver a smite. Obviously a level 1.
Alright. Grabbing your blade, you slash into the creature and then cause immediate divine intervention. The brimming light sinks into its flesh and begins to burn more of its body away. The shadows themselves also begin to move and get drawn out. While not the same thing that the moonbeam did, this in itself does cause a good amount of damage. It is close to its last legs, but not quite there. Definitely bloodied, and another strike like that will take it down. But... What's that?
Can I tell if it's possible to save this tiefling?
You've never seen something like this.
Alright, well, 4 is if it's undead or a fiend.
You can tell it's a fiend. Tieflings, while do register as fiend, not as strong as you felt before. This thing, if could be saved, you're going up against something that would not allow you to save it. Not without a good fight, and in that fight you'll likely kill it in the end.
Well, I'll go ahead and speak out to my compatriots. This thing seems to be possessing a tiefling. Anyone has any ideas for how to remove it? Do speak out. In my turn.
Alright. Talon.
Let's kill him with fire. We can revive him later if possible, but we don't even know if he's still alive in there. He might be possessed, like, all the way. And yeah, I guess I will just see how far I go. How far away? Yeah. Move up. Usually, I'll use my bonus action to start singing, I guess, and move up here and hit him with a green flame blade, maybe. Hey.
Does hit. Grabbing your scimitar, you sink into its flesh and bone. The green flame blade does sink in and purifies a good amount of its body, but purifies it with flame, causing that purification to wither and die. As you see towards its eyes, you can tell that if it is a tiefling, and it once was, definitely no longer. If there's a way to change it back, right now your team is not strong enough, or doesn't have the right idea how to do it. As you finish the attack, you can tell that the only way to bring it out of whatever it's going on is to get stronger immediately or be clever about things. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Tolwyn.
I'm not sure. I have an idea, but it would require me dropping Moonbeam. I'm not sure it would work.
I have protection from good and evil, but it requires a willing creature.
That's what I was thinking of too.
I don't think it will work because it requires willing.
I think at this point, like, I don't think Tolwyn would really understand what's going on at this yet. So he'd probably just keep Moonbeam up, because last time Moonbeam damaged this thing, he could see something, like the person inside of it for a moment. So maybe it's helping. So I will keep concentration on Moonbeam. I don't need to move it this turn. So I think that will be it. Just keep concentration.
All right. Kaithal.
Okay, so I am going to... I'm going to holler out to Tolwyn, who's closest to me, that we... Are we not trying to kill this thing anymore? As I kind of scooch just to get a decent aim in case I'm trying to shoot the thing again.
Do you have a means of removing possession?
This is not something we want to kill.
Can you channel divinity, Kelmore? Can't you
Just
remove
fire.
possession by channeling divinity? If you're, all paladins have like at least that basic channel divinity, don't they?
No. Oh yeah, but it doesn't do that.
Head with it, and you can like turning them like literally will remove on them from the body.
I have Sacrament of Blood and Turn the Suffering. It doesn't do something like anti-possession.
Quick question. What does Turn Suffering do?
Turn the Suffering. When you roll a saving throw at the end of my turn to end one spell or effect on myself, you can use Channel Divinity to automatically succeed on the saving throw and push the effect to those around you.
Yeah, that's right.
10 feet must...
Sorry to cut you off.
The only thing I have that I can think of that might work is protection from good and evil, but the creature has to be willing.
Yeah. And it's a concentration spell.
Yeah.
I can cast it, but I don't think it will work.
It does not dispossess people. It'll only give them advantage on those saves, but I don't think this guy's making saving throws.
Well, if they were, maybe they lost.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we
I'm
can
gonna
really do is
send-
put it down.
Sorry, I'm going to send my Steel Defender up here next to it just as an ally, an extra ally over there.
Mhm.
And I am going to hold my action of firing my crossbow until I can find out what we're actually trying to do, if we want to try to kill this thing or not.
Kill it.
What's that?
I think we're definitely trying to kill it. We have nothing else we can do.
Okay.
There's nothing else that we can do. We have no other options.
Okay, then we are trying to kill it. Then I will try to kill it. I will fire at it with my crossbow.
Does it?
Okay.
Looking at your crossbow, you do sink a sight straight towards the creature. Making sure not to take aim at your allies, you sink straight through, missing the head of Cerberus Tylan and your own hound. It sinks into its abdomen and it stays in. This time, however, it does not draw in your weapon, or your ammo in this case. It does sink, and you can tell that it has been caused significant pain. Another attack like this will likely take it down. No answers given, but an enemy slain. Anything else?
All right. We'll attempt that last one.
You aim, strike true once more, shoot it, and it immediately lands 5 feet in front of you. You forgot to coil the bowstring to make sure it actually releases as far as it can.
Okay. I look at it and scratch my head as I'm trying to figure out what the hell I did wrong.
All right. A moonbeam, that's right.
Yep, con save.
-2. That's a 5, and that's a 7.
Okay, so it's gonna do 6 radiant damage. Very low roll.
Yeah, but as it begins to make its own motion straight towards you, it hands gestured out. You then see the moonbeam take full effect around its body. It sinks into its flesh, removing bone of a demon, flesh of a shadow, and begins to show the tiefling underneath. However, with this so much damage done and dealt to its body, it does begin to sink down to the ground. And the words from this creature you then hear, I'm about to change my voice by the way, so not to spook you. Thank you. It's been so long since I've seen the world in my own eyes. As it then hits the ground, motionless.
I will immediately end concentration on the moonbeam when that happens.
All right.
Try and check the tiefling and see if there's any life still.
There is no life remaining.
I'm sorry, but he has passed.
Yeah, can't consecrate the ground or consecrate him or bless him or something. Aren't you some type of paladin?
You do see the body currently on the ground, and a good amount of its bone and sinew is gone. Much like the hounds that you just, well, not just, it was a couple hours ago and like a day ago, burnt to the ground. Some places where meat should be are not there. So if you can bring it back, it will be brought back in pain. Unless you can greater or minor restoration the thing.
Like bless him, like
No, I've got
Alright,
healing
I do
only.
have something. Before I do that though, I'd like to look over the corpse. I want to see if there's anything, what his clothing is, what sort of condition he's in, what items he might have on his possession. Are there any markings, tattoos, ritual scarring?
Very good.
Things of that nature.
Go ahead and roll perception, but you'll get the baseline things regardless.
Wouldn't that be investigation?
Yeah, that's true.
because I'm proficient in investigation.
Observing the creature or the entity or the tiefling, whatever you want to call it, in your mind, you can tell that there is no tattoos or same occult-like features. You can tell, however, that the strange missing meat pieces around its body are somewhat akin to as if carrion birds, the birds that eat the body after they've died, seem to be the same type of structured system. However, some of its flesh and bone does seem to be around its arms, mainly the fingers, broken or ripped from it. It's as if it was digging in to the ground or somewhere where it should not or would have a tough time doing it for some time. Around its body, you can tell that there is some scarring, but not when it was alive, or rather not when it was possessed. Before it likely was possessed, the body itself does seem to be agitated and heavily wounded. Around it, you can tell that the clothing it does possess seem to be that of a traveling merchant or some traveler, as they don't seem to have very finite clothing. Around it, you can tell that it does have a amulet of some faith that was once scratched out long ago, as all you see on it is a silver pendant with a not crossed out, but weathered away symbol that can no longer be defined.
I'll take the pendant and put it in my pocket for investigation later.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. Bury him. You can do that, and I'll make a hole.
Oh, thanks. I was actually going to ask if you guys can help me make a hole.
I'll do it.
It's actually useful. So after the hole is made, I like to use ceremony and touch the body and give it its funeral rite.
Okay.
So that it like consecrates the body, so it makes it like can't be possessed or anything like that or brought back.
But in this case, since it's not a god that's doing it, but one's own inner fortitude, in this case, I kind of want to do it similar to Warhammer, if you kind of get the reference.
I am unfortunately do not.
Oh, well, in this case, it's all about inner fortitude and inner strength to fight against the corruption and of chaos, etc., and all that good stuff. So it's going to be, I'll drop a couple drops of my blood upon his body before we bury him, and I'll whisper a few words, and I'll say, "May thy my strength from my blood, thy fallen brother, grant you the fortitude on the other side to banish the corruption that had taken you. May thy no longer need to fear the coming night, and may this blessing give you strength against that blight." And I'll end it there, proceed to bury him and all that good stuff.
All right. As you begin to bury him, you can tell that Talen's mold earth was able to take out a good enough space that you could bury him. However, as you begin to bury the dirt around him, you have to pick out some pieces here and there of some broken wagon wheel, some strange bits of broken wagon that are just lined around it. Thankfully enough, you are able to use that as a tombstone, or at least a marker, to at least indicate that something or someone is still remembered.
I'd also like to scratch my symbol of the blood of Vol on the tombstone, like right near the ground.
Mm-hmm. Without too much issue and worry, you are able to do so.
Okay, I wanted to say, since everybody else is doing something, Kyle thought I was looking around, kind of like, so he grabs his tools, his tinkering tools, and starts to go to work on that tombstone to try to build that in the best way he can.
That's fair. With supplies around you, you can tell that some of the stuff that Talon accidentally unburied and unearthed is a good amount of what appears to be raw metal or already worked metal that you can repurpose. Same with some wood and same with some iron. You are able to, thankfully enough, thanks to those two performing the ritual, to take your time and truly make something worth remembering. I don't know if Tolwyn helps you, but he's there at least for more support.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't help with worked metal, but definitely appreciating what the team's doing. I think at this point, like, Tolwyn really feels like they helped out a tortured soul and is wondering if they hadn't stayed there at the town last night, if this would have happened to some of those people. Given the similarities in missing tissue from those creatures that attacked and this creature.
It is definitely a fair assumption. Well, you don't know what correlates both together. You can tell that there is some correlation.
By the way, Tolwyn, I didn't get a chance to answer your question. Now that I have a moment, The answer is, well, actually very similar to what we have before us right now. I did not live a very good life. It was very hard, troublesome, to say the least. As I grew a bit older, I realized a distinct lack of basic humanity in people. So much greed, lusts of all kinds. It's as if debauchery was everywhere, and the very strength, the very idea of what it means to be a person was just stripped from everyone. It disgusted me in ways I couldn't even comprehend at the time. But I came across this book. I'll show one of my proofs of my faith that I get because of my background.
Mhm.
I'll show this. It's like a little booklet, leather bound, blood red. It has the symbol of the blood of Vol on it. I found this book one day and it opened my eyes to how to gain that strength of inner self and to fight against that kind of corruption that destroys a person. And what I desire is to help spread that inner strength to others so that they themselves may stand united, strong, and of heart and soul. It's unfortunate that so many have fallen. And while I do hold a great deal of anger and hatred, and rightfully so, I won't deny a certain degree of pity as well. Not everyone has had this kind of opportunity that I have now. So I try to keep that in mind.
It is good that this has happened. The gods will greatness for all, but it is up to us to enact it. We must bring about the change in the world that we wish to see.
Maybe it was the gods that showed me this particular path. I don't know. And while I don't follow a god per se, I do acknowledge
What
their
is the
existence.
blood of Bull? Who's Bull? Bull? I thought Bull was God. Who's Bull? Just some
Vol is
guy.
not a god. It's more of a visionary that helped us realize this path.
You're a priest and a visionary.
It's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, it sounds hard to understand indeed.
I guess you could say it's someone who found a way of life and decided to spread that knowledge to others.
All right, Buddha.
I don't think Buddha even exists here.
Let's anyway. So
As you begin to move and ponder the equity of what religion or faith would be, kind of hard to tell with that conversation. You do come across the now snowing plain.
Ooh, it's snowing too.
Is it the right season to be snowing?
It is not. Like, not even close.
Right.
Where's the path? Can't really see it.
With a snowing path, it's hard to tell, and with the further continuing package, it is still further ahead. You can tell that there is one building in the middle of the road that you at least know is there. You might be able to make camp and hope that tomorrow brings clearer weather, or you can press on and see how the snow takes you.
When I approach the building, I'll do another divine sense.
As you begin to feel around you sensations about, there is no presence inside. Not one of the undead, not one of the fae or fiend, or any other you may believe dangerous.
I give a nod.
we wait for 10 minutes and cast a detect magic spell. Let's see what. Obviously, it's probably magic, but maybe there's a trap. I don't know.
After 10 minutes of detecting magic, you then finally finish the ritual. As you look around and perceive magic beyond your own comprehension, you detect none. Well, rather, you detect everyone around you. You, Tolwyn, Cathal, Cerberus, your owl. Your owl suddenly made of magic. Beyond yourselves, you detect nothing around you.
What about snow? The snow's not magic.
The snow itself does derive from nature. However, you can tell that it's not natural. The strange environment surrounding you immediately shifted. Not through magic, but through force. Maybe at one point, magically, it was changed, but now the weather and the environment are just maybe perhaps trying to play catch up.
Not having magic.
I mean, if you ever needed a sign from the gods that these storms are bringing about unbalance in the world, look at this. Snow when there should be none.
Dude.
There should be a season of life.
I'll give the door a knock if there's a door.
There is a door, and you begin to knock on it. As you knock 2 times, you then hear it creak open. Not from someone, but your own force does knock it open. Well, it knocks it ajar at the very least. As you peer inside this room, this area has 2 things about it that are off. But besides that, it does seem to be an old, no longer used, small, little, quaint abode. The things that you can tell that are off, however, is that there is a line of snow entering inside the house until it reaches the living room. Afterwards, there seems to be a pile of snow in one specific area, and then nothing else. You then see another line of snow going out from the house, and then you lose track of it once it reaches the snow outside.
Spooky.
Sorry, Kevin. Or whatever. Above this thing. Shack.
It seems someone calls this place home.
You can tell that those markings are a few hours old. You're not sure how many hours, but a couple.
Is there a place down this way, or is it just a bend?
The place where you came from is down that path. Further south, there's likely another path, but you're not completely sure.
So the only direction is over here to the far upper right, or is there not a path to go down here?
Perhaps south, perhaps upper right. Your map does indicate, if you've been following it, you just can no longer see the path. South would be the way to go.
That lives here, like, does it seem like it's a humanoid? Does it seem like a beast? Like, I don't know, is there like, I don't know, is there like cooking utensils or something like that? Like, is there like a den or something like that? Like a pallet? Like, where is it sleeping? Like,
It doesn't seem to have any other markers except for that one spot in the living room, and then dragging itself in and out from that spot.
Do I know of any animal that would make a pile of snow like that and like live in it or keep things in it?
You can roll nature.
Okay. 12.
To have this type of repeated pattern, more than likely it could be some type of bird, but not this size. This is about the size of a humanoid.
Right. I'm not sure. It's too big to be a bird. But, perhaps we should rest here for the night, and who knows, perhaps whatever it is will show itself to us at some point.
You can tell that the area is fully stocked, does have appliances if you want to make meals. It does have some rations, but a good amount, roughly 85%. that aren't non-perishable have perished at this point in time. You can tell, however, that some stuff that did not simply either rooted from the original or somehow it accidentally got planted in the environment, as you do see some potatoes just breaking out from some parts of the wall.
Seems harmless to me, friends.
Yeah.
When I
It's
go
always
in-
seems harmless until the thing comes home hungry.
Well,
Delicious. I've got flashbacks.
I'll go in, but I like to investigate inside the dwelling.
All right.
I'll follow.
I'm gonna send my steel defender in with him.
Mhm.
And keep on the outside, just looking, just waiting to hear anything.
So follow the trail until it loses it and then come back.
All right. Go ahead and roll survival then. But in the meantime, as people begin to look and wander about the area, you step in and try to observe the area before you try and more than likely touch anything without your feet. Observing the site and making sure that you get everything, you can tell that there are some scrape marks along the ground itself. Either the thing is dragging its feet, or it might have very long hands to drag onto the ground. But you can tell that the markings are not razor thin, but could be done with a blade, either natural or unnatural, as it does seem to be more claw-like than non-organic.
Is this a dwelling for a hag?
You look around you, it does not appear to be so.
Can I try to identify the marks on the ground, see if it reminds me of the markings of any animals?
Yeah. Nature again.
Nature. Okay.
Did it match the sort of body proportions of the shadow thing?
Tolwyn, as you begin to observe the area around you, trying to see if these markings match to anything you know. No general animal would have these types of markings. They are too broad, too wide, and too loose. Thinking upon what Cerberus stated in character, I'm just going to say they stated this in character, to tell if these markings might correlate with the creature that you just defeated. It is not 100% sure, but it is the closest thing you know that have something similar to this.
Severus, I'm not sure, but it doesn't seem to be an animal of some kind. It could be. It is definitely possible that it could be the poor soul we encountered earlier.
You did mention something about time. What time is it? Is it late?
It's pretty late at this point, yeah. Taylin, coming back, you got as probably a good 30 minutes out until you lost it and had to come back. But it was coming the same direction you were going. Or rather, you came from.
Alright, so I guess we'd go ahead and start setting up some watches. I'll take first watch this time, since it's still daylight, and we have a single direction, really, to make sure someone's going to be coming. So I should be able to see them this time.
I'll make sure we
I would
can
say-
stay warm.
I would take first watch as well.
Very well.
And my friend here, and I pat the defender on the head, he does not get tired, so he can wander with whoever is awake, an extra set of eyes.
Is there any place around here inside this dwelling that seems to be akin to a fireplace or something?
There is. It just has not been cleaned or maintained in some time.
could we do some maintenance to it so it can be used for tonight?
Yeah, you just basically have to clear out the old, crumbled up dust and old used logs, and you should be good to go. It doesn't take that long.
And I'll do so. Sit at a light and take the first watch.
Go ahead and roll for me perception.
Advantage because I got someone with me.
Mm-hmm.
16.
As you begin to wander about and make sure that the area is safe for your companions and friends, or just some guys you met the other day, you can tell that the environment right now is slowing down. The snow itself has begun to slow enough that you can tell that your travel tomorrow will be safer and clearer. But right now, you also have to contend with the environment itself. You weren't exactly expecting to travel in the snow. So you think about this and look for clothing, or at least more padding. You do find roughly 5 winter sets of clothing, mainly heavy jackets, that will at least help you out. 2 of them seem to be from a adult, 2 from maybe a young adult to teen, and then 1 for a child.
Very well.
Everyone else. There you go.
I'm taking first watch, man. You guys should be asleep.
Yeah. Yep, that's what I said. No. Anyway, yeah. I only sleep for 4 hours, but I'll do my sleepy for 4 hours. Should have my owl perch on top of the house.
All right.
I'm gonna have the steel defender now that I think about that. Sitting out here, or wherever the door is, just sitting by the door on the inside, keeping watch.
All right. Then those in watch, go ahead and give me perception checks.
Are we doing second watch now?
Yeah, nothing happened during the first shift.
Who's taking second watch?
Well, from what I can tell, Talon and Cathal.
Okay, perception.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Hey.
Yeah.
After a while, you do feel something surrounding you. Not a presence of fear, but a presence of knowing. As you wander about and look towards the destination, the horizon line, you do hear a strange noise. It sounds like a very, very distinct whistling sound. After a while, you then pick up on it a lot clearer. It reads not organic, but constructed, as if someone is purposely making this sound. The sound you hear simply resonates in your ears as this. As if a strange whistle, but not exactly one that is unique. It is off in the distance and too hard to tell and determine where it's from. However, it is close enough that you can hear it. And the area itself is quiet enough that you can hear it. You can tell that there's an intelligent life in the distance, roughly maybe 60 feet away to the south. You just don't have an exact location. Whatever that thing is, it seems to be looking for something. The whistle might indicate, more than likely, trying to call for something, but the way it whistled, likely not whistling loud enough to be heard if possible. Unfortunately for it, you rolled a natural 20. So you heard it. You just don't know where it's currently at. But with a general location, you are able, if you decide to, come out of the safety of the environment you're in, and then wander off into the newly blanketed snow set.
Send the owl.
Cathal
I'm
figured
going
this out.
to-
He doesn't have control of the owl.
I'm going to pull Talon to the side and you look rather rough and tumble one. So I'm hearing something off in this direction, and I'm kind of letting him know what I heard. See if he wants to send the owl out that way.
I'll send McOwl over there. McOwl over there. Yeah, he goes over there. He flies over that direction. 60 feet. Does he see anything? Or hear anything?
He does see us rather early 20s, maybe late teens. Seems a little younger by the hair. Individual, maybe human? It's hard to tell with that hair color. I mean, after all, Cathal has blue hair, so they might not be human. Wandering with a lantern, just making quiet but still distinctive, at least for your bird now, whistling noises.
I don't know, does he seem crazy or is he just messing around, just making noise? What is this?
You can hear as
I'm
long as
looking
you pay
to-
attention to your bird through its ears, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll have it land and just, like, I'll start looking at it. Yeah, I'll listen for a minute and then after I listen, I'll watch him for a minute.
All right. Then what you hear from this individual woman sounds like this. Kate, come on, I can't lose you again. Oh man, they're gonna be so mad again. Why is it snowing? It's freezing out here. Kate. Maybe they went the other way. And they begin to move.
I tell everybody, like, what's going on. Like, I don't know, do you guys want to? And I kind of wake everybody up too, by the way. Okay, I go wake everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you guys want to go intercept these people and see what they're about, or you gonna let them go by?
I don't mind helping.
I know they need help.
But if someone is in the woods lost and we're here, might as well help.
I'll pick up the winter clothing and I'll leave a few gold and I will find a torch and start walking in the direction that the voice was said to be at.
Okay.
Gold down. I look at it curious. I don't touch it or take it, but I look at it curious, like,
Someone left winter clothing here, and I thought if the person ever returns, they should be repaid for the service they had given us unknowingly. I'll put on a little bit of the winter clothing to keep me from freezing.
All right. You do so. It's a little tight, but, you know, not everyone has the same physique.
Swole as fuck.
Currently, it's not snowing. You just have to deal with a brisk coldness. It might snow later, and it might cause you actual harm. But for now, if you decide not to wear it, it's perfectly fine.
Wearing and walking with a torch. I'll try start calling out, and I'll say, what was the name that was heard by the owl that they were looking for?
Kate.
I'll start speaking out, for the person who's looking for Cathay. Can you come to my voice?
That's something you can do. Sure. You hear two voices, or at least you do hear something. Respond. It's not a woman's voice as your companion stated it would be. But instead, you do hear a strange, young-ish man state. See this, Colt? This is why you're not supposed to look for me. You literally ran in the night into snow and I'm not supposed to look for you? Well, now people know we're here. Congratulations. I don't really want to have this conversation again. You can clearly tell they're arguing and they're not coming over. But they're also not running away.
I am going there to where the voices are. I assume we eventually meet them?
Yeah, I can just drag you to where they're at. As they're arguing about who's in the wrong here, Kate, the one with golden hair, looks towards you. Oh, okay, you're not part of the observatory. Greetings! Do what I owe the pleasure of you. Coast then states, that's not how you speak to people. It is now.
I will slowly approach and look at them. Are they wearing winter clothing?
The woman is, the man is not.
I hand over some winter clothing, said, here, put this on.
Oh, thank you. See, Coast? They know how to treat a person. Yeah, and I'm trying to make sure you don't freeze to death. Then why didn't you bring me clothes?
I will reach out. Are they young people?
They're early 20s. They're not so young that they don't understand, rational thought, but they're still young enough that, they're young.
What race are they?
I will place my hand on both of their shoulders and I'll tell them, be at peace. We are all compatriots here, all friends. We don't need to be at each other's throats. The world is more than enough anarchy as it is. We should stand united. So let's go ahead. We have a building nearby, and we can take our time to speak about what your situation is and see how it is that we can help.
As you state that, Costa state, thanks, but we really need to get back to the observatory. It's about another half day's travel from here. We're kind of the only ones keeping watch over it, as the others have decided to venture forth. Well, I should say we, but technically Kate is in charge since he's my senior, but you can clearly tell how that's working out.
It is night and snowing. I don't think you'll get very far.
In
Also,
2 hours, it will be daytime. She doesn't state that, I'm just telling you that.
we're actually on our way to the observatory as well. The one in, what was it called? Poland?
Pull on, yeah.
Onless? Onless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that the observatory you were speaking of?
Oh, so you know of it and my work. Excellent. You see, Coast, this is how we treat people. You first know them, understand them, and then be in awe of them. I am not having this discussion again, Kate.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with your work. Was told you may be able to help with understanding these storms?
Ah, yes, storms. I'm assuming you're coming from Reeve, then.
Yes, we were just there.
Ah, very good, then. Based on how you know me, you likely know the good practitioner there. What's his name? Quinn Queltano. I'll call him Q for now.
I thought it was
Quinn. It is Quinn.
It is Quinn. Oh, Quinn, that's right. Good man. Knows his stuff. A little pedantic and pompish for my taste, but not everyone can be as humble as I.
I give an eyebrow raise for a moment. Yes, he told us about you and that you might be able to grant us insight about what the storms are and why they are related to these unusual undead slash fiendish creatures. Even as undead, be it natural or otherwise, they seem to have something odd about them, missing bits of their body. A part of me, now that I think about it, wants to say, like they're invisible. You know how a puppet has strings that control their body parts? It kind of reminds me where the missing bits of matter are supposed to be, like they're being puppeteered in some way.
I will have to check my notes, but currently I do not have them with me. I observed something in the middle of the night which caused me to stir and then go hunting for it. However, I lost track of it. Yes, this is what
Well, that's
happens when you go in the
weird.
middle of the night.
We came across a weird shadow creature that was possessing a tiefling. Could that be what it is you were looking for?
Oh, the possession of tiefling things new, but I was looking after some shadow thing. I called it the... What was it called again? Coast, do you remember? You called it the Mourner? Yes, the Mourner. Its actions, its way, its movement moved. A strange way it continued to follow along a same type of thought pattern. It's as if it was reenacting its last moments in life.
Did make mention of something when we killed it. It said, in a very odd voice, what was it again, Tolwyn? It was a little weird.
Something along the lines of, uh, "Thank you. It has been so long since I've seen the world with my own eyes." Mourner would definitely describe the creature that we encountered.
Yeah, it seemed to have a mixture of both fiendish and darkness style magic. I don't quite understand what it was, and it seems to be underneath the concept of transformation. Tolwyn's magic of calling upon the power of the moon apparently affected it, and its transformative abilities to an extent, though not permanently.
That's interesting. Perhaps you can tell me more of the observatory. I will have to go back to it eventually, roughly about... No, you're going now. Looks like I'm going now. If you decide to follow the same path, I am more than willing to bemuse your own amusement.
Sure, I'll bring out the torch. I'll take point. Don't want one of those shadow things coming by again.
Oh, we still have time, dear. It's roughly around 2 hours till sunrise. About 2 hours, yes. So, back to sleep then. He then immediately goes down to the ground and falls asleep.
You know, there's a cabin like 60 feet from here with a fire.
Yeah, at this point, it's easier to just drag him to the place.
I will just pick him up one-handed, put him over my shoulder, and just walk back to the cabin.
Okay, she was actually about to just drag him through the snow.
I'm swole as fuck. I can probably pick up both of them.
You may be swole, but 2 people is a lot of mass, or at least a lot of volume. So you technically, I think, could lift them. It's just sustaining that weird weight balance would be a different story.
We're not going far.
Fair?
Also, I'm not running, nor am I fighting.
Okay. After
So
the next...
I placed them inside near the fire.
Okay. You place them into the... Oh, I was about to say you place them into the fire. You place them next to the fire. She's still conscious. She just makes sure he doesn't roll into the fire. It basically goes into the corner and just relaxes until she can actually go to sleep. At least for the next few hours. Thankfully enough, however, I'm going to finish up Cathal's perception check. Nothing miraculous happens at night except for finding these two. Whether you would have found them or not, that's another story. But as the day rises, you begin to move. Coast then tells you that she does have to pick up her tent system further down the line, so you allow her to do so, or in turn, you do have to make way towards it anyways. You come across a more tundra-like region with fog emanating around it to cause things to not be seen as well. She then looks towards you as she's picking things up, and as she set a fire to make sure no one dies from the cold. So other than wanting to speak with Kate, is there any reason why you're going to the observatory? Right now, other than me and him, there's really no one there.
Well, we wanted some information about what's happening in the world and see what we can do about it. And see what other paths we can find or make. Other than that, we don't have another lead at the moment.
Perhaps you could tell us, have you been tracking the storm? Storms, or is there more than one?
Kate then states, yes, there's roughly around 5 of them. The mass body does produce smaller miniature storms. I do have a few notes about that, but not a lot of them, I'm afraid. Actually, scratch that. That's my main portion of notes. But from what I can remember off the top of my head, I'm afraid I can't remember everything. From what it looks like to be, there are 5 main masses of storms moving about an area. However, from what I can remember, they seem to be moving in patterns rather than in a non-sequitur path. If I had to wager, perhaps something is guiding them through and motioning them somewhere. You can take a look at my notes and perhaps the notes of the others that are currently away from the observatory. It's the least I can do from helping me to help my companion. Again, I'm pretty sure they helped me help find you. Nonsense. Sure, whatever.
It's interesting that these things that seem to be pure chaos might be directed.
Yes, I believe there might be something at its epicenter, but I have yet to get any actual proof. Just hypothesis. From what I've gathered, there might be a strange mass in it, either an intellectual one or one being guided by something else. Maybe like magnets, a strange force bringing it together, or perhaps something inside giving it a path. Surveys, you can tell that Coast is an Asimar based on her celestial presence. Nothing else after that. Excuse me. Then you finish the fire up. They begin to walk forwards, and then Coast states, well, we could use all the help we can get, if I'm being honest. If you're all ready to go.
What about you, Coast? I understand what he is for, but what about yourself? What are you doing at the observatory?
I maintain it, make sure everything's fine and safe. Also make sure that no one causes any harm to the observatory. Basically, I've been hired on from Kate's family to make sure he doesn't cause any more trouble than he has to. Yes, she is my ward. No, more like a babysitter or, I guess, maid. No, don't think so. It doesn't matter what you think as long as I get paid. But yeah, tents all good. Bedrolls all taken care of. You can tell that she's basically already geared up if she had to bring more than 2 people. Around 5 people she packed for. She can clearly carry a lot. Dragon can take... You can now tell it's just her bonus. She could have easily lifted him. Just decided to wanting to drag him.
Huh, Coast.
Who knows why.
You apparently never skip leg day.
I suppose. I also train my
Nice.
upper body.
I was trying to sort of. It was kind of a joke, but I guess I wasn't able to do it right.
So was mine. It's just if I joke too much, she then points towards technically her boss, but it's clearly not how that works. This one might run away or try to join in, so I try to keep it at a minimum. Yes.
Got it.
Observatory we go. As you make your way forwards. Oh, so is the music cutting out for anyone else?
No.
I had it cut out once or twice, but my connection's not always the greatest.
It cut out once for me, but I'm back on and everything's good.
Okay. As you begin to move around towards the observatory, you can tell that the snow blanket in here is heavier than it once was before. The owl and the hound will likely have to go in somewhere safe to make sure no snow gets into gears and no snow freezes the bird. I think an owl. No, an owl is something else. Whatever.
Big creature.
I'm not good with animals. Set for pets. You do get to the observatory, and thankfully enough, because you found the 2 current watchers, you are allowed inside. Normally, if you did not find them beforehand, you might have had to break in. And if you broke in, they might have caught you while you were snooping about.
We have to kill him.
So, show us these notes if you don't mind. Be very much interested in seeing any research that you have on these very strange storms and what they seem to be doing to the world.
Ah, yes, right. Well, that would be the top floor. Well, no, the top floor is technically the roof. To the laboratory. He then takes you up to the laboratory, unless you want to wander about.
I asked him if he knows of any spells that could protect against the storm, or if any type of magic he could lend us, or let us have, or anything he could teach us or me.
Well, I know Lehman's tiny hut could do that.
He goes around collecting notes, documents, and they're all over the place. Like, there's a reason why his family decided to hire Coast. Other than clearly needing to babysit him. Looking around, he then looks towards you. Right then, you said you needed information about the storms. Here we go. Right. Well, where to begin with first? A while ago, roughly according to history, some strange cataclysmic event happened into our world. From what we can understand it happened a couple times, but the last time, it stuck around. And then the powers that be began to weaken and dampen in turn. but the world itself grew in strength and vigor. But that meant the creatures of the world also either had to adapt or died out. Soon enough, the gods themselves lost power and, well, things took a turn for the worse for them and their followers. Without an actual connection, and without an actual power source, they basically withered into nothing. According to our documentation, they, however, survived more than likely in other worlds, or at the very least are on the very last legs in this one. So, thankfully enough, since that happened, we basically have our own lives to ourselves, and the gods do help, but they do not hinder. In that sense, however, they also don't help as often, which means that the world is in more peril than I wouldn't say more than it would have been if they controlled more, but more in the sense of they can't do as much. So ultimately the world is left to its own devices or our own. In this case, we believe, or at least I believe, he then hands each of you a few documents. You piece it together, but he just tells you that these storms might be a concurrent environmental hazard. Someone likely around the time the gods lost control of this world decided to try and take it for themselves. I believe that these storms were a way of doing that, perhaps some type of super weapon or the sort. However, they were not able to do so, and ultimately they run amok. What may happen afterwards, it is hard to tell, but my hypothesis does state that something or someone else decided to grab and latch on to these storms, and have then since been directing them. The storms, however, grew far more dangerous and far more cunning. Rather than this mass itself attacking or causing the destruction of cities, smaller ones seem to spread out from the main mass and almost attack an environment or area in a almost precision strike. I'm not exactly sure, but these events and these few other survivors that I found might know more or might have delved deeper into this mystery. But according to their eyewitness accounts, strange creatures jettisoned from the snowy banks or the fiery flames, whatever environment these storms created while in the area, and, well, attacked certain areas, but mainly the main life within the environment. If that is humanoid, well then, generally, that main body source gets wiped out. So, yes, very dangerous.
Definitely seems like something that needs to be dealt with. These storms can't be left to run amok forever. I'm not sure what any of us could do ourselves, but perhaps together, if we pay attention to the signs the gods leave us, we might find a way to dissipate these storms which are wreaking havoc with the world, bringing it out of balance, and do something good.
Yes. Perhaps you can. All that is also well and good. But here's the better part than saving the world just for saving the world's own sake. Based on the information that these other eyewitness accounts have given me, some of them did see what appeared to be something shining within the epicenter of the storm. From what I've gathered and how these storms have grown in mass and scale, I do believe that each epicenter in the storm has some type of artifact embedded into it, allowing the artifact to take control and allowing the wielder to shape it as they choose. It would be interesting if this is true, and if this is true and we are able to acquire these artifacts, it would be neat.
Where are these storms at? Are they still here, or do they move about?
They move about, but not in any linear way, from what I can tell. However, that has been changing as of recently. From what I can tell, their next destination spot is a small little demonic place called Hellspot.
We know about that particular storm that's heading there.
From what I've observed within this tower. Oh, you did mention you came from Reeve. This main storm came from that area and is heading there. It generally has, how should I phrase this politically properly? Demonic blood heritage beings living in that area.
I don't recall meeting a tiefling in that town.
Oh, it's about 3 days away from here. It does seem that the storm is curving around an area. Perhaps it's trying to keep that area safe, so it'll take longer for the storm to get there.
So very strange, but if we have an opportunity to reach this other town before the storm does and warn them, I think we should.
It might be interesting.
Yes.
But how do we move faster than the weather?
The only thing I can offer you now, because it will take time and finances is an issue. Time for me is the problem. I can offer you a little bit of a boost there. The city itself does have, he then holds up another piece of paper, something called a magic circle. If you give me about half a day, I can create one here magically. Then use my resources to acquire a large gemstone to allow one of you to cast it. I have the spell scroll ready. I myself can write the spell down on the ground, but I need an actual caster to cast the thing. I'm afraid I can't use magic.
If he has a spell scroll, then it's already part of the scroll. You don't need anything.
Coast looks towards you and then just shakes her head and puts her finger to her mouth.
Oh, I stop.
Yes.
I do have a few questions. The first is, I'm kind of wondering if anything has been coming up that's new ever since these storms have starting that might have a connection. For example, I know a long time ago that there were certain kinds of sorcerers that had power over weather. I'm not sure if any of them are still alive, but if they are, maybe there's some form of connection since it's all about storms, or maybe they're all dead and as a consequence of the storms, as an example of something that might be connected to storms that has been happening recently.
I'm afraid I can't say for certain. All I can say, as of now, is that the storms themselves are moving on their own accord or someone else's. If any type of sorcerer does exist, I highly doubt they are not in the... how should I phrase this properly without being rude? Under the control of Scarlet.
Alright.
Who exactly is Scarlet?
It's not a who,
Is she...
but a force.
Huh.
Whenever a sorcerer is born, or whenever they come into their own power, this strange presence in between themselves and the world, as they derive their magic from another source, or from themselves, or from some other natural presence. This scarlet radiation, or something akin to, how should I phrase this? A force comes in between them and they themselves get taken over. They come to the realization, or at least they believe they come to the realization, that they become a greater force, an entity, a force that they... I'm afraid I'm not an expert on this topic, but from what I do know, is that the strange entity named Scarlet, as we've dubbed it, takes control of the sorcerer after a certain amount of time. Some sorcerers are able to fight it, others are not. But if they are unable to, and the Scarlet Force does take control, they act as if they have a mission in tow. Most of the time it involves killing, and most of the time they prevail. Not all the time, though, so long as there are defenses everywhere. However, only recently have the storms and them been coming in the same time frame.
Alright. Then go ahead and start your preparations then so we can get going.
Alright then. After some time, he does get out some, what you might believe as magical components, or what he might believe is magical components. Coast eventually tells you that basically she goes out, tells his, her benefactors / his parents, for certain items so things can be easier for him and mainly her. But she basically just tricks them so she can have a moment's rest, and anyone else around Kate have a moment's rest, because they don't come often. So, they are able to just relax. With all said and done and the magic circle being played out, which technically isn't needed as the spell scroll is there, one thing is certain. The time frame is set. Whether you beat the storm there is certain. Whether you keep the town safe, that is another matter, and one that will be have discovered next time as we end the session for today.